Thank you for joining me. This is going to be a yin practice based off of the heart and the small intestine meridians. These two meridian lines are associated with summer, which we're about to be upon. And the heart is the king of all of the meridians, and the small intestine is known for separating the pure from the impure. And they are both, when they're in alignment and there's not stagnation within these two, we have joy and enthusiasm. And when there is some stagnation, we can feel sluggish, really not in touch with our emotions. So we'll work on those two meridian lines today. It's going to be a lot of upper body stuff. And I will add in a hip opener as well, because that's always nice to add into our yin practice. So we'll start in a wide-legged child's pose. You can grab your props if you don't already have them, a bolster and a couple of blocks just to have them handy if you need them. So feet together, knees coming out toward the edges of the mat. Anything you want to bring up underneath you. I'm going to use my bolster here just to settle in and to begin to focus on this practice. You could turn your head to one side or the other, and I'll let you know when you can turn it in the other direction if you are. Begin to find how your body is arriving. Just notice and pay attention where you may be feeling physical tension. Maybe noticing if there's any mental tension that you brought here onto your mat. And just pay attention to that. Just feel out that observation for these first few moments. And if you feel ready, you can start to deepen your breath here. This diaphragmatic breath is wonderful for really anything, but it's also really great to begin to work with the small intestine meridian line. And then maybe breathing your breath into any space where you're feeling the sensations of this posture. And you can go ahead and turn your head in the other direction if you have it turned. And then we're just going to gently, if you have support underneath you, we're just going to gently place it over to the side. And we'll stay here in our wide-legged child's pose. So if you do need to come up and out of it for a moment towards your tabletop, maybe even shifting forward and dropping the hips toward the earth for a moment, just to feel a little bit of a release through the back of the knees. And then we'll arrive back into our child's pose. And as we do, we're going to begin to thread the right arm underneath the left. So right arm will come up underneath the left. And you can drop your ear toward your mat. I'm just going to move my microphone here. So right arm threading underneath the left. The small intestine and the heart meridians both move down the length of the arm here. The heart meridian runs on the inside, pinky side of the arm. And then the small intestine runs to the outside thumb side of the arm. Small intestine also runs through the back of the shoulder. And just notice if you can feel the belly pressing into the thighs here. And see if you can begin to quiet the mind now that we've been here for a moment and we've focused on breath and sensation. We've got just about another minute. And we'll keep grounding into the left palm. We're just going to start to unthread the right arm. We'll come back into child's pose and land in rebound. You can just let the forearms relax to the earth. Take a few breaths here. Go ahead and give it one more breath. And we'll switch sides and begin to thread the left arm underneath the right. As you drop your left ear to the mat, you could always keep the forehead grounded here as well. So just whatever feels better for you. And we will add in a mantra here. So these two mantras are known for being emotionally stable between vulnerability and resistance. So finding that very fine balance between the two. So our mantra for this practice is going to be I am soft, I am vulnerable, I am strong, I am resilient. We have just about a minute left. And we're going to unthread from here, just arrive back into your child's pose. Just a few breaths here in rebound. We're going to start to shift forward toward our tabletop pose once again. If you would like to pick up the knees and find some rotation into the hip sockets for a moment on either side or both. And we'll drop the hips toward the earth. Once again, just coming into this modified up dog, releasing through the hip flexors. And we're going to come back toward tabletop pose. We'll begin to walk the hands forward as we come into our melted heart pose, but we're going to take just half of a melted heart pose, and you could even use your block here if you'd like, up underneath the forearm. So I'm going to extend my right arm forward, and then with this left arm, I'm just going to bring my forearm up underneath my forehead as we hold here. And you'll feel this opening through the chest and the heart. You'll also feel this through the armpit area, through the shoulder, which both meridian lines run through. You can always, if this is bothersome to your knees, you could always bring some padding up underneath your knees as well. And if the block is a little bit too much, just take it out from underneath the arm and you can just let this right arm rest to the earth. Got just about a minute left. And we're going to start to lift our way up slightly. If you have block up underneath the forearm, you can just slide that to the side. We're going to work our way forward toward the belly. So just come all the way down. Once you're here, make a pillow with your hands. And we're just pausing for that release from the posture where all the prana or energy, or really chi, since we are working with our traditional Chinese medicine, is moving back through the body here. And maybe just noticing rise and fall of the belly, expansion of the ribs. And we'll start to lift to the elbows. We're going to move into Sphinx pose from here. And I like to take bolster up underneath my armpits. If you have one handy, you could do this as well. And then block up underneath the forehead. I'm not sure this bolster will let me do both, maybe. And then resting forehead into the bolster here so you're completely supported. Just allowing all of the support and the earth to hold you here. Coming back to our mantra, I am soft, I am vulnerable, I am strong, I am resistant. And see if there are parts of you that you can soften even more. And maybe you don't even realize what those parts are until you're here and you begin to notice the physical body and where you're holding tension. We have several more breaths here. Hopefully by this point you have felt the body begin to just give away to rest. And we're going to take our time. We'll softly press into the palms, into the forearms, taking props out from beneath you to the side, and lower down to the belly. And then just pause. And we'll begin to take the right arm out and over toward the right. The left hand's going to come up underneath the shoulder. We're going to begin to move into our reverse needle here. And so with the left knee bent, we're just going to begin to step the left leg over the right, depending on your shoulder here as well as your chest. You may bring something in front of you for you to lean into, instead of stepping the left leg over the right, as we begin to breathe into the front of the right shoulder. And always play around if you need to find where this posture makes sense to you. So if you're in it and it's uncomfortable, or you're feeling a pushback from it, where you're not able to find that surrender, then adjust. You might even bend both knees and just let the bolster move between them. And let's continue to arrive here for this next minute. And we're going to slowly come back around toward the belly. Nice and easy. You could keep this right arm out to the side for a moment or bring it along the side of the torso. And then we're going to bring hands up under shoulders. We'll let the hips come back toward the heels as we arrive back into our child's pose. I'm taking just a few breaths here. And we're going to begin to shift forward toward tabletop pose. And we'll take our melted heart pose once again. This is also called quarter dog. And we can bring block up underneath the left forearm if you're using a block here. And then bending or bringing the right forearm parallel to allow for the forehead to rest onto. You could also even cross your ankles here if that feels nice. And we'll come back to our mantra. I am soft, I am vulnerable, I am strong, I am resilient. I think I said resistant a minute ago. I am resilient. And once again, just noticing where sensations show up for you. And still feeling out these deeper breaths. We've got a bit of time left, so you can stay, change it up. Feel your way through these last moments. And we'll start to press our way up. We can take the block over to the side and shift forward toward tabletop as we bend into the elbows, come down to the belly. And we'll pause here. And then for a moment, you could either come back into your Sphinx pose. We're not going to hold this one quite as long, so if you want to use the props, you could. Or you could begin to spin the palms out toward the corners of the mat and ground down into the palms as you lift the forearms up and away, and we'll lift toward our seal posture. You might even lift the chin toward the sky for a moment, breathing into the front of the throat and the neck. Excuse me. And then we'll come back down toward the belly. And And we're going to switch sides with our reverse needle from here. So any props you need, you can take them to the other side of your mat. And we'll extend the left arm out and over to the left. We'll begin by bending the right knee. Maybe you step your right foot all the way over. Maybe not. Maybe you use your bolster or anything else in front of you to support you. This is a really nice variation with the bolster between the thighs, not going quite as deep and still feeling that support here. I am soft. I am vulnerable. I am strong. I am resilient. Last moments in this pose, so these last moments you can always stay, change it up, go further. And we'll take any props to the side. Come back around slowly toward the belly. This left arm could remain out to the side. You could also bring it along the side of the torso. And the hands are going to come under shoulders. We will start to press the hips to the heels just for a pause here as we transition. We're going to begin to lift up through the crown of the head, and we'll come to a seat. And as we come to a seat, we'll begin to turn toward the long edge of our mat. And we'll just bring the feet out in front of us here, and we're going to just start to windshield wiper the knees from side to side. And as our knees drop over to the right, we're going to find our deer legs here. So drawing your left knee up and in toward the bottom, and then the left thigh toward the bottom of the right foot. We'll start to extend the arms to the sky here, and then cactus them. We're going to bring the right arm underneath the left as you either hug here or wrap up into your eagle arms. And then once there, we're just going to start to drop the elbows in toward the belly button for a moment. Breathing into the space between the shoulder blades, into the back of the shoulders, which is where the small intestine meridian runs. You could even trace your collarbone here, breathing into the sides of the neck. Let's give it another full breath. And we'll lift up tall through the crown of the head, just to let your right hand fall to your lap here, to your thigh. We're going to stimulate a point along the heart meridian. And so on the pinky side of the arm, in this wrist crease here, you're just going to massage with one of the fingers or the thumbs here into this crease. And sometimes these acupressure points along the meridian lines can be tender. And then just allow for the hand to relax. And then we're going to take our left hand. You're going to feed it up underneath the armpit here, and then just about a thumb's width up from the axillary crease or from the armpit crease here. You're going to massage there. This one is definitely tender on me, and it might be for you too. So just a thumb's width, so not very much, about 1/2 of an inch up from the crease here of your arm and your armpit. And you can kind of fish around in there too until you find that tender area or spot. And if you don't, that's okay too. Maybe it's not stagnant within this area or this space. Good. We're going to take a little twist over to our left. So just take your right hand over toward the thigh. Take your gaze over toward your left shoulder. Once again, maybe play around with dropping ears to, like your left ear toward your left shoulder or your chin to your chest, breathing into the neck. These two meridian lines run up and into the neck space and into the throat. Give it another full breath in, full breath out. And we'll start to spin the torso back toward the right shin here. And we're going to fold as we come into our deer pose. So you get support if you'd like, or you could just fold forward without any support. Take your time. And let's come back to our mantra. I am soft. I am vulnerable. I am strong. I am resilient. We've got another minute here. And we'll begin to lift our way up nice and slow. Pause here at the top. The eyes can remain closed or soft. And we will just bring the hands back behind us. The feet are going to come to the earth. We'll windshield wiper the knees from side to side once again. And we're going to begin to drop the knees over to the left as you arrive into your deer legs on this side. Take your time as you begin to set up into it. The arms will extend. We'll cactus. The left arm is going to come underneath the right this time. And then you can either hug here or wrap up into your eagle arms. We'll begin to drop the elbows in toward the belly button, the chin toward the chest here. Be adding a little sway or tracing the collarbone with your chin. And we'll start to lift up through the crown of the head. And we'll let the left hand rest onto the thigh. You're just going to, again, on this side, finding that wrist crease here with the thumb on the pinky side and just give it a bit of a massage. Or you can hold it too. And it's not unusual to feel tenderness in one side and not in the other. And then we're going to take the right hand up underneath the armpit here, into that crease, just about 1/2 an inch above the crease here. And the back of the shoulder. And then just release, take a breath. Allow to twist over to the right, so left hand to the thigh as you twist. Maybe gazing over right shoulder, maybe dropping right ear to right shoulder, breathing into the neck. And we're going to lift through the crown of the head. We'll come back around, squaring chest over left shin. And we'll start to fold forward into our deer pose here. Take your time. In your fold, you may only be going about halfway. Or you could always use the support up higher as well. So you could bring the block up higher, or even take this at more of an angle and lean into it. Whatever suits you best. Maybe the side is different, so paying attention to that as well. And we've got our last minute here. And we're gonna start to slowly lift our way up. Take your time. When we get to the top, we'll pause. And then we're gonna take our bolster or block. We're gonna bring it back behind us. You're just going to unravel the legs. Bring them back around toward the top of your mat, and you could windshield wiper them again here. We're gonna come into our final pose before Shavasana. So if you have a bolster, you can bring this up underneath the shoulder blades. We're just gonna come into our supported fish. You could also do this with your block. So the block could come right up underneath the shoulder blades here. And perhaps you use a second block to come up underneath the head if you need it, or we're dropping the head all the way back to the earth as the arms extend out, breathing into our heart space and into the front of the throat. Whatever shape you'd like to take with the legs, they could extend straight forward. You could bring feet together, let knees drop out to the sides. And we're going to move back into our mantra again. So I am soft, I am vulnerable, I am strong, I am resilient. Maybe even thinking about breathing into your heart space here. We've got our last minute. And we're gonna start to lift our way up. Take your time. You could even roll to the side, and we'll bring our props out from underneath us. Maybe if you're using a bolster, it comes up underneath your knees now. As we lower back to the earth and begin to find our way into this final posture. This could look like traditional Shavasana. This could look like legs up the wall pose. Maybe you're laying on your side, if that's calling you. And then feeling out the effects of this practice. You could even take left hand to heart, right hand to belly, just to feel the movement of your physical body as your breath moves in and out of you. And I thank you for joining me for this practice today. Hopefully you're feeling more rested. Stay here for as long as you'd like. And taking your mantra with you. I am soft. I am vulnerable. I am strong. I am resilient. Thank you again, and namaste.